A sudden movement of the seabed, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, underwater landslides, or even an asteroid. But frequently, they are set off by earthquakes occurring at a depth of less than 50 meters, measuring at least 6.5 in magnitude. At a magnitude of 8, a tsunami can be devastating. The shifts of the ocean floor cause water to be pulled in, lowering the sea level and deforming the surface of the ocean. Seismic waves are produced, which in turn trigger another series of waves. In deep water, far from the epicenter of the earthquake, the tsunami reaches a few dozen centimeters, but its height increases as the bottom of the ocean floor rises. In extreme cases, the waves take on speeds of 500 to 800 kilometers per hour when the water is very deep, decreasing in speed to about 20 or 30 kilometers per hour as they approach the coast. The waves can reach heights of up to 30 meters, breaking one after the other at intervals of 10 to 40 minutes, sweeping away everything in their path. Tsunami, which is the Japanese word for harbor wave, occurs
for its immense tidal
originate near the equator and flow towards the poles are called warm currents, and those which originate in the high altitudes and flow towards the equator are called cold currents. Ocean currents are generally named after the regions along which they flow. The warm ocean current flowing along the Brazilian coast is called the Brazilian current, and the cold current flowing along the Labrador coast is known as the Labrador current. Ocean currents are powered by the wind system of the world. The wind systems of the world force the surface water of the oceans to move in a particular direction. A surface current of warm and light water flows from the equatorial region towards the polar region, and a cold current flows from the cold polar regions to the warm equatorial region. The prevailing winds lend speed and direction to a mass of water. Ocean currents in the northern hemisphere deflect to the right of the wind direction, and currents in the southern hemisphere deflect to the left. Therefore, there is a clockwise circulation of water in the northern hemisphere and an anti-clockwise circulation in the southern hemisphere. This is a Coriolis effect caused due to the rotation of the Earth. Surface motion of prevailing winds drives the subsurface layer at an angle to it. Each layer moves at a slower speed than the one above it and at a greater angle from the wind. The spiral thus created has the overall effect of moving the water mass above the depth of frictional resistance at an angle of about 900 from the wind direction. This is called a Coriolis effect. The temperatures are higher at the equator than at the poles. Hence, water in the oceans near the equatorial regions gets heated more than the one in the oceans near the poles. This unequal heating sets up convectional currents in the ocean. Warm water